Everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm still in the self-isolation station, as I'm sure you all are at this point in time. As you all know, I was going to make a part 3 to my Was Doctor Who Ever Misogynistic series. There's only going to be 3 episodes, but I was supposed to be recording that video this week. But something else has come to my attention that I would like to make a video on first, and it's actually very serious, more serious than anything that I've probably ever addressed on my channel before. It's nothing to do with fandoms, it's nothing to do with books or movies or TV shows. It is literally a very serious issue that I am actually very passionate against stopping. So I feel it's my duty as someone who, even though I have a minuscule platform compared to other people who are making videos on this, I still feel like it's my duty as someone who has, albeit a small voice, but still has a voice nonetheless on this platform, to speak out against it. Many of you probably don't know, but I'm a big fan of Blair White. Blair White is a transgender YouTuber who mainly does political commentary, but she also does other videos on a second channel about personal life, stuff like that, and I'm a very big fan of hers. I actually aspire to be able to debate the way she can, get my points across the way she can, and even deal with hatred the way she can, because I find that the way that she deals with everything that comes her way is actually very inspiring, and how everyone should aspire to try to be like. A couple of days ago, Blair White released a video about maps, and she actually has done videos on these people before. I don't know if they were called maps at the time, I can't remember, but I do remember her making a video on a similar situation, and she made a point that she feels that everyone should be speaking out against this, especially people of the LGBT community, which I actually vehemently agree with. And I think what's actually stopped me from doing this before, even as someone who's a member of the LGBT community, is that it's a very serious topic, and it's not something that I feel like I'm going to be able to talk about rationally, because it makes me angry. So anyone who doesn't know, MAP is basically a new term that some people identify as, which means minor attracted person, which spells out MAP. There are also no MAPs, which means that they are attracted to minors but they don't believe in actually acting upon it, which must mean that MAPs in themselves believe that it is okay to act upon these urges that they have. In recent years, MAPs have been trying to get in with the LGBT community. They compare their plight to what gay people went through in the 80s, even further back than that. They say that back then gay people weren't accepted and they got shit from people, and this is just part of their own journey towards being accepted the same way gay people are. It amazes me that in this day and age we actually have to explain to grown-ass adults, most of them are adults, of course they are, because a teenager wouldn't describe someone around the same age as them as a minor, so these must be adults. I can't believe in this day and age we have to explain to adults about why pedophilia is wrong, because that's what a MAP is. You can try to make it seem less aggressive by calling it a minor attracted person or MAP, and you can try and dress it up to make it seem less wrong than what people think it is, because most people are going to hear MAP and not know what it is. If someone said that they were a pedophile, you'd immediately know what that is. And considering the fact that they're trying to get in with the LGBT community as if their affliction, because that's what it is, is anything like what the LGBT community has and still does go through is insulting to the highest degree, and the fact that some people in the LGBT community are actually taking it and letting them in is amazing, and not the good kind of amazing. Don't get me wrong, most of the LGBT community is against it. I am against it. Very obviously, I am against it. It is illegal. The difference between the LGBT community and MAPS and no MAPS is that gay people, lesbian people, bisexual people, transgender people is described as two consenting adults. Because if a gay man tried to have a relationship or tried to touch a 15-year-old male, that is illegal. You will not be saved by the LGBT umbrella because that is still pedophilia. In legal terms, a child cannot consent. And whether you want to argue that you think that they are old enough to consent, that they're developed enough to consent, whether you think that or not, it is illegal. And I have no qualms with the law saying that children cannot consent, because they can't. They don't know what they're getting into. Sure, teenagers start to go through puberty and they start to feel things and they start to develop into adults, but they should be given that time to develop in their own time. They shouldn't be groomed into thinking that having sex is the right idea, especially by an adult. And if you are being, as an adult, for example, if you're a teacher and you're being pursued by a student or someone who's a minor, it is your responsibility as the adult to shut that down. I can't believe I have to explain this shit to people. There's going to be people who come across this video and they're actually going to disagree with what I say, and I actually can't believe that that is an actual thing. There are people who are going to look at what should seem obvious and think, no, you're wrong. They actually argue that children are old enough to consent. They understand what they're doing. If you get permission from the parents, then it's okay. That's an argument. And these people, I agree with people who, I don't necessarily agree with them, but I feel like these people can get help. If someone recognizes that they're having these feelings, they should be able to get the help that they need before they do hurt someone. I feel like that should be a very open option towards these people. But the instant that you actually feel it's okay to pursue a child or touch a child or have a relationship with a child, you need to go to prison and get help. Because you're not becoming part of my community. We are not the same. We are nowhere near the same. You want to have, you MAPS want to have relationships with children. Children as young as 3 or 4, you want to have relationships with them as if they're old enough to comprehend what that even is. When this conversation first came up in 2016, I think it was around about that time when Blair's first video came up, I wasn't able to argue properly because I'd never been close to a child. So I didn't know how to compare. Obviously, I had the very basic knowledge that a 3 to 4 year old can't consent, but I wasn't able to argue it as articulately as I'm going to in this moment because I have a nephew who is currently 3 years old and he's going to be 4 years old in May. And I promise you, if any of you MAPS went near him, I would go to prison because you are not going to touch him and try and say he understands, because He doesn't. He can't even count to 20. How can you not know how to count to 20, but understand that what a relationship is and what sexual feelings are? You can't. It's baffling that I have to say this, that people like Blair White have to say this, that we have to speak out against people who want to commit crimes against children, our children, the people who used to go to prison. They should be in prison. The minute that you say that you think it's okay to touch a child, you should be on a watch list, because saying that you think that that's okay means that if you had the opportunity, you would. So you need to be on a watch list, and you need to be thrown in prison as soon as possible and get help, get therapy, get something. And don't start comparing that to conversion therapy, because again, children can't consent. Lesbian adults can consent. Gay adults can consent. Transgenders adults can consent. Children can't, and that's the bare bones of this argument. Children can't. I hate that I have to talk about this. I hate that we're at a point where I have to actually make a video about this, because the minute that someone tries to include pedophilia into the LGBT group, and if the LGBT community are like, oh, it's okay or whatever, I'll disown yous all. I will. You think I won't, but I will. Thankfully, the majority of the LGBT community are against this, but there are people who aren't. And if you try to insert your little flag, because they have a flag, they made a flag for themselves, into our pool of colours, nah, not flying me, no. I will sooner burn the pride flag in my front garden than let them insert pedophilia into the group, because it's just not on. In 2020, that is not on. So, if there are any minors watching my video right now, here's some things to look out for. They call themselves MAPS, or no MAPS. Because that term is becoming more and more recognized as a pedophile, they are using emojis, mainly a pair, apparently, to let other pedophiles know that that is what they are, that you can talk to me, this is a safe place. Why Twitter doesn't shut these people down, I don't know, but if I ever come across MAP, you can bet your ass I'll report them on every platform that they're on. Just look after your children. Thankfully we're during a time where we are all locked in with our children. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know, because I don't have a child myself. But I have my nephew, and just keep an eye out for these people, because they are trying to get in, and we need to, like, just completely lock the doors and let them know, no, it's not on, it's not happening, because if we let them in, then that is shitting on everything the LGBT community has fought for up until this point. It will discredit it all. So just have some common sense. And if there are any MAPs watching right now, get help. I mean it. Get help, because you're going to hurt someone. You're going to hurt a child. You're going to give them trauma, and you're going to fuck up their entire life. So get help, okay?